The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome to On the Clock with Erin, Greene. It is Tuesday, the 18th of March, 2025. I'm so excited for this conversation this morning. In fact, I was so excited, I forgot to tell my producer, throughout the show, play the best Bahamian music you could find. Show my guest today a vibe. I have to prove something to my guest today. Now, it may not be to my guest that I may have to prove this thing, you know. My guest may already be in tune with what it is that I'm thinking. But we're going to have a conversation today about RCI, Royal Caribbean International's Royal Beach Club project on Paradise Island. We are talking specifically about the RFP process for Bahamian artists, creatives, and creative entrepreneurs, right? I'm excited because I like ideas. And today is an idea day. Like I said, I didn't remember to ask my producer to play this music because I have to show my guests this morning a vibe about what it is Bahamians can bring to a Bahamian experience in the Bahamas. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well today. Thank
Please introduce yourself.
Bahamian.
There you go. That's good. We start right there. Mr. Philip Simon is the president of the Royal Beach Club project. And the RFP, that's the request for proposals for Bahamian creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs, ends soon at the end of the month.
Yeah, we've been going through several RFP processes over the last several months, actually from last year, but the bulk of them have come over the last 2 months or so. And so if people go to the website, they will see extensive lists of different areas. And those lists basically cover, the project is structured in such a way that we have outsourced third parties all of the service operations.
Okay.
So that means that everything to run the beach club is
So
outsourced to Bahamian companies.
So from provision of transportation, water taxis,
Everything. So
to provision of utensils,
laundry, pest control, security, maintenance, pool, landscaping.
and so give us the website right now. They could go to the website and see what those RFPs looked like, and if there is an upcoming date or a second opportunity for vendors to apply.
Yeah, it's www.royalbeachclub@paradiseisland.com, and that's at paradiseisland.com. royalbeachclub@paradiseisland.com. And they can just go under the tab that has local partnerships.
All right. Now, I know about Royal Bahamas Beach Club because I've been following this story in the news. Y'all don't know, but my organization, we had to submit an emergency request. We wanted to stay all construction until we ensured that the habitats of our Chicchanis were safe. After that process was complete, we were cool. But tell the people, give us a brief description of what Royal Bahamas Beach Club is, and then our timeline, the date that is projected for opening.
So it is a day excursion, essentially.
Okay.
It will operate during the hours when the cruise lines and our cruise line is in port. So between the hours of essentially 8 and 4 p.m.
Okay.
It is a 17-acre development I say all the time, 13 of those acres were acquired privately, and 4 of them are part of a government crown lease. And so the intent is to develop an experience that represents the ultimate pool and beach day in the Bahamas. We will have across the property 2 beaches and 3 pools representing themes for chill, family, and party areas. The intent is to represent the country in all things, and we talk about culture. And Jackson Burnside used to say all the time, culture is who you is, where you is. And the thing that will separate this beach club, so from a beach club in Hawaii or any place else outside of the Bahamas, is the fact that it is in the Bahamas. And so when you mentioned the Artist Discovery Program, and the RFPs are still open for that.
Okay.
And up until the 28th of this month, that means that we want to have included in the beach club representations, whether it's the touch, feel, taste of the Bahamas. And so artists, artisans, musicians, et cetera, are encouraged to be creative and submit proposals for consideration.
I thrown out an idea right now, just how you said it, the great Jackson Burnside. Be who you are, because you can't be who you ain't.
Correct.
And I want to say to artists that are considering submitting a proposal, right, like consider a project that infuses not just the art of some of our greatest artists, but the words as well that they shared with us, right, in a way that tells a story about the Bahamas. Absolutely. Okay, so March 28th is the deadline for submissions of proposals for artists and creative entrepreneurs.
Correct.
All right. Who can submit and who cannot submit? We're speaking specifically to the art proposal now.
So unions in the areas of music, creatives, you got murals,
So
you got paintings, you got...
The National Youth Orchestra could submit a proposal?
Anybody. I mean, we're not going to limit anybody who is being creative. Once they look at the site, they look at the vision, they look at the area, they look at the setup per se, and they say, you know what, this would work well here.
All right. How do I get to look at the site? Because you're absolutely right. And if you're going to create an experience, you really need spatial awareness. You need to understand the space that you will be operating in.
Yeah. So, I mean, a pretty comprehensive master plan is on the website right now that kind of speaks to all of these different areas, what the final product is anticipated and will look like.
Okay.
And then obviously there are more questions that can be asked on previous, some of the previous persons, once they've gone through the process, there's NDAs and all the rest of this stuff. I've asked for sites, proposals that would have gone forth before. But I would imagine, depending on what's being proposed, if somebody really needs to see the site, we could make that happen after we go through, obviously, relevant processes.
I guess if the proposal is exciting enough, if it's intriguing enough, it may compel access to the site.
I mean, other than that, you can go and you can see it. I mean, obviously, there's three pools and 2 beaches and, amenities that kind of complement those areas. And so let's dream. Let's be creative. Let's be Bahamian.
Absolutely. I got ideas. Producer, let's go to the phone line. And as we go to the phone line, I wanted to ask about the bunker. In one of the articles detailing, in fact, I think it's something I found this week, Royal Caribbean starts RFP process for Bahamian entrepreneurs. It talks about this new area called the bunker. Let's talk about that right after this call.
Sure.
Good morning, caller.
Perhaps you could ask Mr. Simon to speak up or raise the volume on his mic. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Producer, could you raise the volume for me, please?
Because I'm right in front of it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so reading from the article, Royal Caribbean starts RFP process for Bahamian entrepreneurs, 13th of February. That was Friday of last week. I think this is a quote from yourself, sir. Additional opportunities include music and entertainment, beach and water activities, housekeeping, and the development of a new signature venue, the opportunity to create an immersive experience unique to the Bahamas. Now, give me the scope of immersive experience.
Well, when we talk about the bunker, it's probably the one thing that was there long before any of the fancy homes that were built there and then became derelict.
So y'all met the bunker there?
Yes, it's a bunker. It was an ammunition bunker that's probably been there from, I don't know, the 1700s or so. We would have also had the AMMC and others within government would have come over and viewed it and studied it. And, if anybody listening is familiar with the coin of the realm, you know that that's a bunker. And so it's a very special place. And so, yes, we encourage persons who are interested. It's not a part of the formal site for the beach club, but it is open for opportunity for somebody to be creative.
How far away from the beach site is it?
Well, everything was within a stone's throw.
Okay, good
It's
stuff.
a long site,
Yeah.
but it's not terribly wide.
Yeah.
And so literally you can see the bunker if you stand.
Distance is a part of my excursion, right? Like a part of the immersive experience that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought about was escape rooms, right? Because you already have the kind of ambiance of a bunker. Can you get out of the bunker?
Well, it's not that big. It's not that big. It's about the size of the one that's downtown. But again, it's kind of like an oval,
A rounded roof.
rounded roof. It's really fascinating.
Absolutely. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. Oh, I'm sorry, we missed your call. Okay, so the bunker.
That's one of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, 3 art districts: Bahama Bliss, Junkanoo Jubilee, and Underwater Adventures. Now, tell me what you mean by art district.
So, website and these different areas. There are 3 general areas. We got a family zone, we got a party zone, and we got a chill zone.
Okay, I love that. Because one of the questions I was going to ask is there a bit of segregation?
Yeah.
Right? Could I get a little tipsy and start singing the music and knowing that kids are safely ensconced in another area of
Yes.
the park?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
good
absolutely. So there is division, I would say, across the property that speaks to these 3 different theme areas, and each of them, again, if you go on the site, it talks about all of these things. In the family zone, you have a place where parents and children can stay and play all day in a zero-entry pool area. They can relax in the shade at the family beach, and then there's also a place where you can have friendly competition with beach games and paddleball and cornhole.
Now,
all of these different
here's a
things.
question. Would RCI staff be running those activities, or could a company come in and submit a proposal to say, look, we want to operate all of your beach games?
That's one of the RFPs on the site.
Okay.
And again, I wish I had it open in front of me. I should have had it open in front of me, but it lists all of these different areas, from the beach activities to pest control to laundry, obviously transportation, and the list goes on and on. So anything that you can think in terms of a service that is provided at a beach club, the model is it's outsourced to Bahamian companies to take advantage of.
I can make $1 million, Mr. Nuri, just selling, the child leashes. Because you know how hard it is to get a kid out of a pool and off the beach. But you could imagine trying to get a child off of a Bahamian beach, and the boat in the water that they have to go back to. Yeah, I can make $1 million selling them. All right.
Well, let me take a step back and really describe the model.
Okay.
Right, because this has obviously been there's been a lot of conversation out there, and I'm here for that. Right. It's a very unique economic
Model.
There's a partnership with the government, the people, because the equity raise is going to come hopefully in the 3rd quarter of this year. You got to go through the process to get there. And then, of course, the company itself. So 51% equity split, 49% Bahamian, 51% Royal Caribbean. 1% of the gross revenue of the development on an annual basis will go into a fund to improve areas within downtown Nassau.
Okay.
1% of the gross, not net, gross. In addition to that, I mentioned the outsourcing of the service operations to third parties. the management. This has been one of those areas as well. So on top of the third parties, obviously you have to have a team that will manage these relationships. We've committed to all of them being Bahamian. In fact, we've already identified the general manager, the director of finance and accounting, director of island operations, director of engineering. And those are going to be exciting announcements of young Bahamians coming soon, actually beginning next week.
All right.
So it's a unique model.
No, absolutely. I was going to say that for third-party vendors, specifically in the, coming to you right now, caller, specifically in the artist space, would RCI be open to those vendors forming an association so that they can coordinate, right? At the very least, not a union, but an association so they can coordinate, ensuring that they're not duplicating any efforts, they are managing resources properly, and they're not conflicting with each other in terms of the products that they attempt to produce.
That has been thought about in
Okay.
terms of, but in terms of the way that people can submit their proposals.
Yeah, well,
Obviously,
vendors would have to figure
correct.
that out on their
and
own.
obviously, at the end of the day, we're not going to, try to duplicate, 10 things across the site that are doing the exact same thing. So we're going to receive all of the proposals, all of the bids, et cetera. We're going to evaluate them, and then we're going to make decisions that best suit the environment in which they will be placed.
Absolutely. Let's go to the phone line quickly. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. Okay, I'm sorry we missed you, caller. All right, let's speak specifically to the RCI Artist Discovery Program.
So again, across the site, there are several unique opportunities for whether it's murals, whether it's paintings, whether it's small bands, greeting, arrival, departure centers, retail. The list goes on, and so persons who are interested from the creative community, and we would have had. One or two sessions with the Tourism Development Corp, again, who is a partner of ours, generally speaking, not just for the Beach Club, but just talk about the Royal Caribbean. We've got partnerships with the TDC,
And that's
the Chamber,
the creative industry.
arm of the TDC, the
Yep.
Creative Council within the TDC. And we went through the presentations with them in terms of what the opportunities can be. And so, you had musicians who were there, you had artists, you had craftspersons, et cetera. So, yeah, the package is there on the website as well.
Okay. Quick question from the text line. Will Bahamians be allowed access with day passes?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. And
So to make clear, the guests of the Beach Club will be Royal Caribbean passengers and Bahamians.
no, please feel free.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I want to understand that process. What you say is access to Bahamians. I understand how Royal Bahamian passengers leave the ship to get to the beach, but how do Bahamians itself?
So again, working out all of those logistics in terms of how Bahamians will get there, whether it's through the actual port area or through an area adjacent to the port. The only way to get to the Beach Club is by vessel. And that's everything. We joke all the time that this seems to be a logistics company offering excursion services. But yes, so we'll have ferries that go to and from Paradise Island taking guests.
Okay. Go on, Ms. Newry.
And you mentioned ferries. When you say ferries, these would be Bahamian ferry boat operators or Royal? Okay.
And that's an area reserved for Bahamians as well. So that was the process that we've gone through.
Absolutely. And you can read more about those specific the website itself, or you can follow this conversation in the daily papers, including the Nassau Guardian. This article, Royal Caribbean starts RFP process for Bahamian entrepreneurs, and RCI to bring 3.5 million passengers to Nassau by 2027. Now, I was excited about that article because of a stat that came out of it, and then my thoughts started rolling from there. The article indicates that the Beach Club will only be able to accommodate 1 million people throughout a calendar year. That whittles down evenly across days to approximately just under 3,000 people per day is a maximum capacity of the Beach Club. We got to entertain them, Mr. Simon. We need to leave those people. Sands, the Stafford Sands. His tourism model was you bring them in and don't let them leave till they pocket empty. Yeah, the pocket have to be empty when they leave. We need to create this culture that when tourists and Bahamians leave the beach club, they asking every member of staff, when we coming back, is the boat spinning back round? They gonna ask the little kids, you could tell my mommy bring me back tomorrow, please, because I didn't finish everything. I didn't get to do everything, and I need to come back.
That's the goal of a successful business operation, and that should also be the goal of a touristic destination like the Bahamas overall. Whether it's the beach club or whether it's downtown Nassau or whether it's someplace in Exuma or any of the family islands, we want our guests to leave feeling they got to come back tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about the numbers, let's talk about the numbers for a second. And yes, I think around, I think in 2024, it's about 2.3 million visitors that visited Nassau. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about Coco Key and other areas. And it is anticipated, as you've seen, we've got the new Icon class ships, so the ships are larger. Mm-hmm. They're carrying more passengers. They're almost a destination unto themselves, but the goal is always to get them off the ships doing things. Now, the responsibility of that goal is both the company and also the destination. Mm-hmm. Right? And we talk about this all the time, and I don't know the exact percentage, but some persons don't come off the cruise lines anymore. And depending on the destination and where they go, the satisfaction varies. For us, we know, and that's a part of the plan, Utopia of the Seas was the latest one that came last year, strictly dedicated Bahamas itinerary. Mm-hmm. And so that number from 2.3 this year is we will add an additional 1 million guests, passengers coming to Nassau. The beach club, anywhere from 700,000 to 1 million, like you say, where the rest of the people can go. What are they going to do? And that's a significant number of people. So we have I don't like to say problem. As a country, we've got a tremendous opportunity to find things for our visitors and guests to do.
Mm. Let's go to the phone line, and then I got an idea for Bahamians. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin, and good morning to your guests.
Morning.
Good morning.
We got a million things for guests to do.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody don't believe in us anymore. You understand? Because we had it back then. We used to bring all the big high rollers and things into the Bahamas for our fried fish, our potato bread, our conch salad, all of our straw wicks and stuff like that. But we have gone a-whoring after those from over the bar. That is where we're making our mistakes. We have no native shows in this country. None. All we're doing is bringing in everything, and then what happened? When the foreigner is finished with it, we leave us with the garbage, with the filth. They pack up their bags, put all their people on the cruise ship like Noah's Ark, and they go and leave us behind. We need to get back to who we were.
So what's your first idea? What's your first entrepreneur to present to RCI?
We just present who we are. We need to go downtown, and we need to set up our food vans like the French Quarter in New Orleans, and we need to sell us. We don't need to be selling McDonald's and Cuban and all them other things. We need to sell us.
That's the thing, Johnson. Food van's not Bahamian.
Well, we could use that as well. We're still being Bahamian, but we got to use it to cook.
Well, I mean,
you understand?
Okay, so thank you for that good idea. You just give me a great. Thank you very much. So one of the proposals I sent in up is a day in the life of, right? You need a stone oven. You're getting hamburgers. You need a stone oven. If I was somebody, I would figure out my proposal to build 2 stone ovens, maybe in between the main part and the bunker. And so some people will be lucky enough to get freshly made hamburger buns for their lunch. Some people may not. They may come to be having too much fun doing something else. But Johnson, the food truck is not ours, but the stone oven is ours. And so the same way all these little fancy people have all these little mobile pizza ovens, have we figured out yet how we're going to make a mobile stone oven? So, because in fact, Johnson, I was in the food store, Super Value, places I think, the other day, and the tourists asked me, Super Value, Top of the Hill, the tourists asked me if they have any flour cake inside the food store. And you know, the bougie in me, Nuri, the QC in me, then the Corinne Mitchell in me. I was tickled that they asking for flour cake in the food store. So I had to go ask. I had to go wait for Super Value that day. And so, Johnson, let's get this mini stone oven and figure out how we can mobilize some young people to make bread as a part of a day in the life experience. See, we don't necessarily want to ensconce our guests in the experience of slavery, enslavement. However, there are elements of that experience that we could bring to the table that may cause a guest to say, you know what, the next time we visit in the Bahamas, we got to get off in Nassau and go to the Pompeii Museum. We should take 30 minutes out of our day. We got to come back. Thank you for that good idea, Johnson. Producer, let's prep the next caller, Simon.
Okay.
I mean, no, if you wanted to respond.
Yeah, no, I all I heard was opportunity. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear an issue, and he's absolutely right. There are so many things that we can do. I'll say the quote again: "Culture is who you is, where you granted." Is fascinating to our guests. Why do people travel? They travel to experience the culture, the taste, touch, feel of the places, the destinations that they go. And so, the more that we can, commercialize that, for lack of a better term, and present that to them, the better. There's some other things we need to do to make the experience better. We need to clean up a little bit. We need to have a better presentation of things. And I'm saying that because we're in the industry, and I'm saying that because I also see it as a Bahamian.
Yeah.
You can go through some of these corners, and it's not reflective of who we are. And so all of this,
or who we are at our best.
At our best, right?
Yeah.
And so all of these are, to me, opportunities.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Erin. Good morning, Mr. Simon. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning.
My question is, do you have to, in the submission for the request for a proposal thing that you have, do you have to present a visual sample of what you're doing in regards to the arts, like the art thing, or it can just be
a written proposal?
Yeah, in the first instance, it would be a written proposal, and there will be interviews, there'll be opportunities to present if it's something physical you're talking about, or examples or samples of your work in a physical state. Yes, so there's a process that you'll go through, but yes, the RFP is a written digital submission.
Okay, all right. And just one quick question: is RCI trademarked? If you wanted to incorporate that in something that you're doing, you need to get permission from you.
Oh, you're talking about if you're submitting a proposal and you've got some designs or something like that, and you just want to like cut and paste a logo and put it on there so that we can see how. As long as you're submitting it to us,
and only to RCI.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because I could imagine the spot Royal Beach Club experience, right? Like that's what I can call it.
Yeah, and then you want to put the logo in and show us how it would look. Yeah.
And by the spot, I meant the improv comedy troupe. Thank you very much, caller. All right, now, the whole time we've been talking about it off air, the last time you were here, you emphasized, or you put an emphasis on Bahamian, right? Strongly. Let's talk about what that means. Proposal perspective.
It's the thing that we want. We want to infuse a local Bahamian experience into the beach club, into the pool and beach day, wherever they turn, they see something that's reflecting, again, the taste, touch, feel of the Bahamas. It's why visitors come.
Can we teach something from the U.S. and just say by Bahamians, for Bahamians, of Bahamians?
Well, yes, and
Good
certainly
stuff.
Bahamian inspired.
Yeah.
Because again, there's the other thing. When you have this volume of persons, there are limitations in terms of the numbers or the quantity of things that can be produced. And we're not discouraging people who might say, well, listen, man, I can only produce 100 of these a day. Submit the proposal. It could be a specialty item, a novelty item. And if you sell out by 8:30...
And here's the thing. If your idea is truly a great idea, you're going to inspire people to help you figure out how you could increase that number from 100 to 200, from 100 to 500, right? Like the quality and the authenticity of your idea should draw people in.
And that's what you need to maintain. You have to maintain the authenticity and the quality of whatever it is that you manufacture or produce in order to stay in business. That's just for this. That's just business.
Mr. Simon, you mentioned labor and Bahamian and trying to have a Bahamian concept. And I know there are questions regarding construction and Bahamian labor versus foreign labor. But I'm moving away from that because you answered that in the media already. Okay. Right? That's already solved.
I can answer it again.
But in terms of the beach product and tourists coming to visit and experiencing the Bahamas and their Bahamian vendors and Royal Caribbean staff on property.
Right.
What is the makeup for that? Because I know other entities have both Bahamian and people who work on the ships.
Okay. There's nobody from the ship is going to be coming to work on the Royal Beach Club at Paradise Island. So
what you mean by that exactly?
So there will be no foreign labor of Royal Caribbean crew that will come and work at the Royal Beach Club at Paradise Island. That's not the model. So when we talk about, again, these third-party operators, just like with the construction right now, and I had to make the clarification that I can't tell ISD or BEG specifically. I can encourage them to say, hey, as much as possible, make sure that you're pushing to get 100% Bahamian. But that's not always the case because their skills, there are other model, however track to our satisfaction, of course. That's what we want. And so that's why you would have seen, in fact, I don't know, in a construction site you could go on where you don't see some level of, and so that part of it may also pop up within the third parties who are delivering services to us when we open up. But the contract is with the companies. And for the most part, we are anticipating that they will have predominantly or majority Bahamians working for them. What we have committed to is that management, right, of the people that we hire at the beach club will be 100% Bahamian. So you've got the general manager, you've got that executive team, you've got supervisors, you've got managers, you've got admin under Royal Caribbean Beach Club hires that will be Bahamians, and then you have the third-party operators. I guess we'll see how that pans out.
You remember the line from the famous play? Only a Bahamian, a true Bahamian, could understand the song of a Chickchani.
Yes. You mentioned the executives or the mid-management at Royal Caribbean on the beach club. Will that be all Bahamian?
That's
also?
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's exactly who I'm talking about. Those hires, hired by the Royal Beach Club. And again, you have a structure. Just think about a structure. You've got, obviously, there's a board. And again, this board is representing the partnership, the 49-51% split. So you have representatives from government, representatives from the underneath the board. You have the general manager and his executive team. Underneath that executive team, you have supervisors and managers, and you have other employees filling gaps where it is necessary. That structure right there is Bahamian. And then underneath them are all of the contracts that will be executed to deliver the services of the Beach Club. Now, those ones are delivered by Bahamian companies, so that's up to them.
My next question will be about that 1%. You mentioned 50-49, and then 51, 40, 51.
Yeah, two different things. So 51% majority is Royal Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean.
49% represents the government and the equity fund.
Yes, but you mentioned that 1%.
1% of the gross revenue as a part of this agreement. And I got to say this. Government, and anybody knows me, I don't care about the politics. Nobody can attach me to anything. The government of the Bahamas, over the period of these negotiations, which is over years and more than one administration, the government of the Bahamas, I must say, did an excellent job representing the people of the Bahamas and coming up with a structure like this that had, in addition to 4951, service operations, all the rest of that stuff, is 1% of the gross revenue will go into a fund. So if the company has $100 million in sales, 1% of that is $1 million. That would go towards a gross, go towards a fund to help improve downtown.
Yes,
repairs, upgrades, etc.
And I see
I should say Nassau. I should just say limited to downtown.
And I see you kind of vague, and I'm sure there's a reason because you haven't ironed that out as yet. But do you have any information on who will manage that 1% as yet?
We haven't gotten it yet.
All right.
But I can tell you, well, I shouldn't even make that commitment.
Okay, let's leave that.
Because if you tell me I get a piece of $1 million, I can beg you till I get it.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to a break. When we get back from the break, I want to talk some more numbers, like how many projects do you estimate that the beach club can tolerate, right? Before it becomes oversaturated. And I know sometimes it'll depend on, that cannot be determined until you see the bulk of the proposals offered and make a determination of what works best with each other. We're going to a break. When we come back from the break, it's going to be ideas. We're talking with Philip Simon, Royal Caribbean International's Royal Beach Club Project President, about the request for proposals for artists and creative entrepreneurs that closes March 28th, 2025. We'll be right back.
Everybody Wins Live is bringing you the ultimate giveaway, a brand new Cybertruck. For every $30 spent, you're in the drawing for the ultimate grand prize, a Cybertruck. Drawing live at the Vibes Cartel concert March 29th. You'll also be automatically entered to win tickets to see the world boss himself. 25 lucky winners every single week. Visit everybodywinslive.com to get into the game. See website for full terms and conditions. Must be 18 or over to participate.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Good morning. Welcome back to On the Clock with Erin, Greene. My producer must be busy. I think my producer say, Miss Greene, you out here trying to win $1 million proposal without me. You wait to go on the air to ask me to play this music. Here's my idea. Now, when we say emphasis on Bahamian, 100% Bahamian, music, entertainment, sometimes Bahamians, they balk, they have a reflexive response to the idea that we can entertain our foreign guests with 100% Bahamian music.
Well, let me correct that.
Yeah.
The musicians, right? Obviously, there's a party bar, and so you will have music that's being played from other countries.
Well, see, this is my point my idea going right there.
The people I'm talking about,
yeah.
Whether it's the 2-3-piece band or the Junkanoo, they will be Bahamian, just to make it sure.
The curbside rocking out there.
But you understand that. So I don't want somebody to come back a couple of months from now and say they playing reggae or they playing, so obviously
I want to put an idea on the table for myself and for anybody who's interested, including my producer, who just know everything about Bahamian music. I would put forward a proposal to provide you with a 100% Bahamian music product, including your party bar music, right? Including live performances and including interactive experiences that allow guests to make music and perform with Bahamian artists. I would have a focus on identifying the top billboard. What can we Bahamianize? How many genres do we have represented? We got a brilliant rock space in the Bahamas, vibrant. We got hip hop, we got pop, right? We got everything. In fact, I'm going to have a classical guest on coming up very shortly. And so I think that the artist community could put together a co-op, right? Working maybe with United Artists Association of the Bahamas, or BEMU, to provide you with everything. So for your bar music, even if we have a 25%, 25%, right? Or you have a themed day where we know on this day, everything, you're going to hear your favorite country songs, sang Bahamian covers, Bahamian styles, right? You're going to have an opportunity to make a drum. We're going to show you how we junkanoo with 5-gallon water bottles. You're going to have a band, and we're going to provide you with an opportunity to record yourself and take that experience home with you.
You sound like you're ready. The 28th is next week.
Yeah, but look here, I bet y'all didn't know Chick Johnny could play bass guitar. I believe that's who come up with that riff now. Doom, 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 doom.
But what you're saying speaks to the creativity of what we're hoping to receive and to evaluate and infuse into the Beach Club.
I want to take a moment to shout out the tremendous number of theater projects taking place in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas right now. Between Grand Bahama and New Providence, and even popping up all over Eleuthera, right? Stage plays, church plays. We now, like, one of the reasons why the Dundas has found itself in this position is because opened up for performance, right? And I think we have enough talented young people to produce a number of things. First of all, to produce short, fun films, entertaining, including historical aspects and cultural aspects of the Bahamas, to be shown like at the cafeteria where people are sitting, where it's cool, there's less light, something that's playing while they're eating, right? An interactive experience. I referenced Pirates' Revenge and the loose crew of pirates and actors that they have performing with them. Imagine a troupe that interacts with your guests throughout the entire day, right? They're well-trained improv actors, so they know about spatial awareness and engagement. They could read a crowd. They know who to engage and who to just step back and sort of smile at.
You putting it all out there on the radio for somebody to write down and submit?
But this is what it is. I know I doing that. I throwing it out there for the young people.
Okay.
Because right now there are at least 10 productions taking place over the next 3 weeks. From Arsenic and Old Lace to The Brunch. The movies are coming out. Death Comes in the Morning, I think. Or Nuri, what's the Patrice Francis play they turned into a movie and they just promoting it? All of these people have content available to start working with or can provide immersive and interactive content.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
You know, I came back, travel, Miami, came back home on Friday, and of course, you know, you always see, I forgot the name of my friend, the pirate, who usually greets you. It's amazing to watch, you know, the response that he gets from our visitors. And just one guy, you know, at the bottom of the escalator there, just entertaining, almost like as if he is I guess in his mind, he is absolutely that real pirate for those hours that he's entertaining. And it's just fascinating to watch the reactions. And then you go upstairs and you got the 3-4-piece band over in the corner there, which is probably necessary for the long lines, to kind of keep the tension down and playing that Bahamian music. And so this is what we're talking about. And so obviously you can imagine there's going to be some elements of junkanoo, some rake and scrape and some gumbe. And we spoke to those areas and we hope to receive, proposals that show who we is, right? Because
we can only be who we is. Right. We can't be who we ain't.
Correct.
Mr. Newey.
No, man, I'm excited. The project seems plausible. It seems like it's going to be grand. A lot of Bahamians will be involved. I encourage Bahamians to take advantage of the opportunities, ask more questions, especially how Mr. Simon's making himself available to challenge him, and he's open to answer anything. So call and just say, what about this, Mr. Simon?
I got a text here from somebody. The person texted me about stew fish. I look into the text like, and then I said, thank you for the idea, texter, right? Here's another idea. Tell me, Mr. Simon, if this is applicable, if it could work for the space, right? We talk about, thank you, Johnson, for the stone oven idea, right? And thank you, texter, for the stew fish idea. Text I can get to. We talked about numbers. We can get to numbers briefly before we end the show. Can I submit a proposal, right? It may be a package, a special package that a guest may purchase along with the day pass for the beach club, right? But I'm offering an immersive, interactive Bahamian experience where you get to either watch or help prepare your own food. So we have a little pool pond, we have a little oceanside pond that we net off, and we bring fish there every day, fresh fish. And you could come and pull your fish out the water with a hook. And then you clean the fish, or you watch us clean the fish, and we fry the fish outside, and we bake the bread right there, right? Or we make the flour cake right there in the oven. Is that a suitable proposal? Because I know sometimes food and beverage proposals are slightly different from.
Yeah, there is a food and beverage program, obviously that has to accommodate, the number of guests. 3,000, 3,500, 3,800 max. And so that's something that has to be consistent. It's, quality, et cetera. Now, you're talking about an experience. That's what I hear. And so the only limitation with something like that would be the limitation of space.
Okay.
And so when you look at the site plan, there aren't any areas that currently can accommodate something like that.
Okay. All right. But
yeah, I want to talk broad brush general timelines, right? Timeline for opening, timeline for when Bahamians will be hired in mass, timeline for when you announce, these are the executives who will be shepherding and leading this thing. Any kind of timelines you can hint towards. I know you can't be specific because things.
Month, we hope to announce the general manager and another executive. And over the course of April, the remaining, we call it wave one, the executives of the beach club. And then there's a second wave that will occur in the second quarter in terms of hiring and interviewing and hiring. And then the remaining, management, administrative body, by summer, we should have all of them onboarded. Summer, end of Q3. In terms of opening the beach club, December is the target.
December 2025?
This year.
For Christmas?
Yes, this year.
Okay. Tourists love the water. It warm to them. And, we don't go in the water at Christmas, but for where my little niece is right now, it was like between -10 and -5 yesterday. They come in December.
Yeah.
And they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it might not be the most convenient time to kind of open a beach club, but that is our timeline. December of this year, we are opening.
All right. The texter said, need to break it down into daily numbers for clarity. The average cruise ships carries that breakdown. You want to break it down just again. I talked about if by 2027 we're expecting 3.5 million people. We know that the Royal Beach Club's maximum capacity is approximately 1 million people. They're expecting between 700,000 and 1 million people per year. If we stick with 1 million, we're expecting just under 3,000 people per day to experience the Bahamas through the Royal Caribbean Beach Club.
Yeah, if you annualize it like that, that would be the number. And again, there will be some days when that number will be significantly lower because there may not be any ships in harbor, and then it's just the Bahamians that are accommodating the site, and so it goes on and on. I think what that caller might be. Okay, I think what that caller might be, that texter might be trying to get at is how many persons come in on ships on an annual basis, how many of them come off of the ships, how many of them will be attending the beach club.
They were talking, they followed it up with they wanted to ensure that Bahamians on Bay Street understands how it'll affect them. Well, texter, if you read the article, RCI to bring 3.5 million passengers to Nassau by 2027, it's all that. And so that $1 million person capacity, they're actually saying, look, that leaves 2.5 million people still open to experience New Providence, Nassau, right? And so aren't Bay Street vendors are organized as well, right? Like form a cooperative and ask for the numbers, and you all begin talking as well and create a space where local vendors, the same people who are applying for Beach Club, you invite them to say, look here, can you provide an experience for me to attract more tourists to my space?
It's a huge opportunity, and I think it's a national opportunity.
All right, absolutely. Thank you. The conversation's not over. Also, the lead, RCI lead, Mr. Bailey, the last time I spoke to him, I told him, we bring in overnight cruising back to the Bahamas, right? And don't watch nothing. We're going to provide a product that makes it impossible for them to resist. And imagine that in my mind, eventually, Royal Bahamas Beach Club can provide overnight camping experiences, something that you could only get with RCI in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
These are all your words, and
they mine only. Mr. Bailey, it's only me talking, following up on the conversation we had the last time we met. I planted seeds.
Yeah.
I planted seeds. I like how Madeira and mahogany is grown. You guys, it's Bahama Rock. You've been on the clock with Erin Greene. Thank you to Mr. Philip Simon. Mr. Nuri, thank you very much. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next.
It's our game. We welcome you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.